And before we start, I'm going to, just Marcy's up, I'm going to record the audio.
Okay. All right, thank you. We'll call to order the June 12th, 2023 business meeting. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Burgoyne.
Here.
Mr. Gudinger. Mrs. Lemon.
Here.
Mr. Metallic.
Here.
Mr. Price. Mr. Shalinski.
Here.
Mrs. Secco. Mr. Taz.
Here.
Mrs. Snatcher.
Here. Thank God. Lisa Shalinski's don't need extra help. All right. We have no students here tonight, right? Okay. Routine business. Any visitors this evening? Oh, I'm jumping around. We have a motion to approve the business meeting dated May 8th, 2023 as presented.
Second.
Mr. Vitale with a second by Mr. Burgoyne. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Any questions on the agenda this evening? All right. May I have a motion to add the following motion to this evening's agenda as item number 7.8. This motion is proposed for addition at this time because the resignation was only received this morning. An acceptance of the resignation will allow the superintendent to move expeditiously to post and, if necessary, to advertise the position. And then
Can you read the motion that you're adding?
the motion to accept the resignation of Francis C. or G. Kovchak, effective immediately, and to direct the superintendent to expeditiously post and, if necessary, advertise the position. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Mr. Burgoyne. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Shalinski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion to amend motion number 12.2 to read as follows. Motion to accept the food service management cost reimbursable contract between the Burgettstown Area School District and Aramark Student Nutrition beginning July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024, pending approval by PDE. This amendment is being made this evening as a result of information recently received by the board. May I have a motion? Mr. Shalinski, may I have a second? Mr. Burgoyne, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Any other questions on the agenda? Amy, thanks. May I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Motion. Second.
Mr. Shalinski, second by Mr. Burgoyne. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Muscatello.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
My name is Joe Muscatello. I'm with the firm of Stiefel Nicholas now. I've been working with the district, and a lot of familiar faces. I've been working with the district since about, since the mid-90s, and I've done a number of financing. And I've talked to the administration about restructuring some of your debt and issuing some new bonds to help you balance your budget over the next few years. What you have in front of you in the first page is a list of the district's different bond issues, the rates, and when they can be called. So this is basically just a summary of the district's outstanding different bond issues. The following page, page 3, column B shows the district's current outstanding debt service after reimbursement. So you actually budget a higher number than what I'm showing, but after you receive state reimbursement, this is what the net effect of your debt service is. This is what you're paying out of pocket and currently it's about $3.4 million, $2,390,000. We were tasked with reducing that number to about $1 million a year, to help the district get back on course in terms of their debt service numbers. So one of the ways to reduce the debt service is to basically issue what we call pension bonds, or taxable bonds. And those bonds are used to help pay your long-term pension liabilities. By paying those long-term pension liabilities, it frees up other monies in your budget to make your debt service payments. This program also provides about $1 million up front of pension dollars for this year. So basically, we're reducing your debt service this year to almost nothing, your debt service. And that will help start a fund balance for the district. So under this scenario, you're borrowing about $5.3 million in pension bonds, and you're using those monies over the next 5 years to reduce your pension payments, increase monies for your debt service. By doing this, you generate, your fund balance at the end of this would be about $2.9 million. So basically what you're doing, we're reducing your debt service, and every year you need to find a certain amount of revenue, in this case about $386,000 a year. And every year you need to find an additional $386,000. So we use monies to lower your debt service payments to about $1 million a year. You need to find $386,000 approximately every year to help pay the increase in debt service. So it starts at $1 million, and every year your debt service continues to go up because you lose certain money, you're spending part of the pension dollars. So by the time, what we do over a 5-year period, we're using the pension dollars to reduce your expense, to provide you monies on your debt service, for your debt service. And then on the other side, you need to find certain monies over a 5-year period so that the debt service, when everything's said and done, is about $2.9 million. You need to have about $2.9 million in revenues to match that obligation. So by issuing, so the whole plan would be issue about $5.3 million in pension bonds. You have to find $386,000 a year to help pay that debt service. If you do nothing, don't spend the fund balance, you should end up with about $2.9 million after the 5th year. If you find $386,000 a year for the next 5 years. So it's $386 the first year, then plus the $386 in the second year, 120, or almost 800,000, sorry, and then so on for the next 5 years. It's a little bit complicated. There's a lot of numbers here. If anybody does want, I can always come to the district and meet with different people and different board members and go over these numbers.
So there are a couple of things going on. The borrowed funds can only go for pension money. So when you're using that money to pay the pension money, you're obviously freeing up local funds. And then the new money comes in the form, in this case, the budget that you are asked to approve tonight has a tax increase. So that's one way you come up with new money, right? Another way is streamlining operations and all of those kinds of things. But at a minimum, you need to come up with 300 and some, or we need to come up with $300 and some thousand every year. At the end of 5 years, if let's say it was a tax increase every year for the next 5 years. At the end of the 5 years, you are now bringing in $2.9 million more per year in tax dollars than you were going into this year. So now you've built a nest egg with $2.9 million. You're not touching that one, hopefully. That you'll finally be in a position where the money coming in will be going directly out. There's a few things this assumes. That you take on no more pension or bond obligations, and I don't know that that's realistic, in that there will become a time when you'll have to take on more debt because we have some capital improvement the other thing is, it's unrealistic to think that costs aren't gonna go up. So the tax increase, for example, for this year will net more than the $386,000. Plus we've borrowed a little extra to have that kind of happen. It's not a cheap thing to do. And a little bit, if you talk to us a little bit about the current bond market and the timing of all of this and when we might be able to do this.
Right. So in the past, interest rates have been extremely low for a long period of time, over the last 10 years. And we were able every 5 years to come back to the school district and refinance a bond and generate some money. Well, there are a number of bond issues that are what we call currently callable, which means that you can refinance it at any time. But the interest rate on those bonds is so low, it doesn't generate any bonds, any savings. Interest rates have gone up so much that refunding is basically, there's very little refinancing being done because there's no savings. So we had to think out of the box, and this is basically thinking out of the box we did in 2017. So this is
Yeah.
something that we've done in 2017, 2019, and we're doing it again in 2023. But the interest rates on these bonds is gonna be high. I'm using a number of 6.5%. Hopefully, it's gonna be a little bit lower. The two reasons that the interest rate is so high. One is that the general market of the municipal bonds, plus these bonds need to be taxable. School districts are usually able to refinance, are usually able to borrow at a tax exempt rate, which is lower than what, most consumers can get, because there's a tax benefit to the person that buys it. They don't pay interest on the taxes. But this doesn't qualify as a tax exempt project, borrowing to pay your pension, so it has to be taxable. So when these bonds are sold, they're gonna be sold with an 8 to 10 year call. So these bonds right now are gonna be amortized over a 20-year period, but the majority of the bonds are gonna be paid in the years 17 to 20. So 8 to 10 years from now, we'll look at where the interest rates are, and if the interest rates are lower, we'll be able to refinance and you have some savings. Or in the meantime, you can get what's called advanced refunding, but, on a taxable basis, that usually doesn't work. But, you'd be able to refinance these bonds in another 8 to 10 years. And if interest rates ever do fall, you have other bond issues that we can refinance.
You said this comes with $1 million up front.
So, yes, if you're gonna borrow $5.3 million, you're gonna use approximately, $1,400,000 of the 5.3 to make your pension payment only on the long-term liability. Your pension payments are about $2.6 million. They're broken out into long-term pension obligation and a current obligation. We can only borrow for the long term, so it's about $2 million. So out of that $2 million, we use about $1.4 million for that purpose. That should free up about $1 million, just because of the way the numbers work. Free up about $1 million that should flow to your general fund, because you're not making the payment that Jamie's already budgeted. Now, these numbers can be anything you'd like. Like if you wanted it to be higher or lower, we would have to adjust those numbers. So if you wanted a lower fund balance, we would borrow less on the pension bonds. If you wanted more, you'd have to borrow more pension dollars to free up more money in your budget. This is just, a number that we came up with the administration.
And how did you come up with the number?
You have a percent increase just in costs. So if we would have done nothing, we wouldn't have been able to absorb.
I know, I'm just,
any of the
but how did you
increase.
how did you pick that specific number?
It was allowable. Really, it comes down to what our costs were and how far could we take that out and how could we keep it still a number that was such that our pension payment or our overall bond obligation wasn't gonna be too incredibly more than it is right now.
Right. So with that information, your pension payment, your debt service is $2.3 million, wanted to get it down to about $1 million. So we borrowed so that debt service by freeing up other monies was $1 million.
And that's why you came up with.
In
2.9.
5 years, right, in 5 years, that number's gonna be, to get from 1 million and do the projects that you wanna do, your debt service is gonna be $2.9 million. So over that 5-year period, you would have to find $386,000 in your budget every year and accumulate it to 1.9 with the million that you already have budgeted, 2.9, it would equal what your debt service would be in the 5th year.
Okay.
The other thing we keep in mind is when you're looking at this, that whatever board is in place 5 years from now, and this is something that we need to keep on the radar, every year, probably January, when we start the budget talks in June, because it's not enough to then just stop. We wanna continue to, if we do the right things, we'll be sitting on almost $3 million. There's a percentage of your budget that you're allowed to have as a fund balance, and you can designate some funds and things like that. You haven't had that kind of money to be able to do that, but that's the goal, is to get to the point where we can maximize the amount of fund balance we're allowed to legally carry, and then even have some in like the capital reserves budget and things like that. So if we can get that healthy, then we can have legitimate conversations about taking bond issues for the repairs that we need and things like that.
Right.
If you were looking at this strictly from does this financially make sense in today's market, I don't think you would necessarily state that. I mean, the numbers it's costing us a lot of money to borrow a lot of money.
Right.
But we're in a situation with our budget and with our fund balance or lack of a fund balance that we have to do it. I can't speak to 2019 and I can't speak to 2017. But I can say that we have to, if we're gonna do this, we have to put this plan in place and honestly work it through the end, not just say, okay, in 3 more years, we'll borrow another so much to pay our bills, because it doesn't work that way.
Right, because we still have to go to rating agencies, and the rating agencies are gonna look at the plan, and they're gonna provide a rating to the district, based on the finances. But you are correct, it's an expensive proposition because of where the interest rate is. The interest rates are higher at this point in time, and it makes this an expensive proposition, because there's 6.5%. If you wanted the fund balance to be lower than what we're showing here, we would issue less bonds and you would come up with less than $386,000 a year. But I don't know if that puts you in
That's what we need to do.
Right.
So then the timing of all of this in terms of when we would go to sell bonds.
So with this project, since we're gonna have to jump through a couple of different hoops with the rating agencies and then with the state and apply for certain things, this will take at least 3 months to get done. So if we got the go-ahead, we would start to work on it, and we would probably sell bonds in November, and you'd have your funds by the end of December. Because we wait for some of the financial information that the school district has. Just to give everybody disclose all the financial information and see how this year ended.
So Jamie and I met with Mr. Muscatella 2 or 3 times, and then Mr. Hoosier once with Mr. Price. We wanted to have the treasurer end of it, we wanted to have the budget and finance end of it, so that they understood where we were. And it's a little easier when you're sitting down across the table and looking at this stuff. But, it's kind of self-explanatory.
There's just a lot of numbers, so that's why I said if someone wants to individually go over, you can call me, you can go over, or you can come to the school district.
Seems like a plan we can go with, or at least start to keep the.
With the light of day, right?
Pardon me?
With an end is a plan to get to an end.
Right. Yeah, we have to work it. Thank you.
I appreciate your time, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Muscatella. All right. Reports and presentations. Let's start with Mrs. Slay. How you feeling?
I'm all right.
Good.
Actually worked today. Here
Oh,
pleasantly surprised to announce that all the buses are expected except one. We ran 14 through. The officer's gonna come back tomorrow and give us his honest opinion about bus 19. I believe that we have major issues with it on my own, but I want to see what he has to say. So 14 of them are signed, sealed, and delivered.
awesome.
He was very appreciative of the hard work and the effort that went into it. So, other than that, working on next year.
Are you back to work?
No.
Okay.
I just came in today to say the least. I do work from home. I do answer emails, I've been doing payroll and stuff like that. As the arm frees up a little more, I start therapy this Wednesday. So we'll see where we go from there.
All right, good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Schaefer.
Good evening. As you all may be aware, May is an incredibly busy time for us all here at Burgettstown. We host so many events, it makes the end of the year fly as we strive to hold on to the many proud moments we have with our students. At the middle high school, we honored the accomplishments of both middle school and junior and senior students at separate award ceremonies, celebrated our teachers and staff during Teacher and Staff Appreciation Week, and admired our Western area students earning their certifications at their certification ceremony. Additionally, we held a Touch a Truck event organized by Officer Fisher, where first responders from the community visited campus and allowed students a one-of-a-kind experience. Students were able to visit the different vehicles, ask questions, turn on sirens, and see several simulations that law enforcement officials provided. Our students truly seemed to enjoy the event and are excited for its hopeful return next year. We Make Learning Night was also held on May 10th. It was truly an amazing event. Our students and staff showcased a variety of projects and activities for our families and community members throughout the evening, and the night concluded with a band and chorus concert. If you were not able to attend this year, I highly encourage you to attend next year, as the evening was simply inspiring. Additionally, I'd like to take a moment in my board report to recognize and thank the Burgettstown High School football team, led by Coach Druga, for their service along with Steubenville Pike and State Ganglands 117. As they cleaned up trash, were inspired by the team's initiative to help the environment and appreciate the responsibility they've shown for their community. To conclude the month of May, we held our commencement ceremony at Star Lake Pavilion. As most of you are aware, it was a wonderful evening celebrating our graduates, accompanied by family, friends, and community members. In conclusion, as the summer work begins, I've been digging into coordinating and communicating with families of students who are in need of credit recovery this summer. Once that gets underway, Mr. Fadden and I will begin collaborating on items to address this summer, as well as planning for next school year.
Thank you. For the Touch a Truck, it's my understanding that some students, their teachers would not permit them to attend. Will that be different if we do that next year?
This year it was optional, just because we didn't want to interfere with what they had planned for the day.
Okay,
Next year, we're hoping to get more participation and allow a more structured schedule to get the classes down.
okay. All right, cool. Thank you. Mrs. Burton.
Hi, everybody. So May and June are always busy for me. We're wrapping up the end of the year paperwork, so I'm working with the SNAP office to get all of our state reports in. We submit them in June, they run them through, and then if there are any corrections, we get July to make them. We are planning our annual ESY extended school year for our students with the most significant needs. And this year we have 12 students attending, so we're looking forward to that. We will have 3 teachers and 2 paraprofessionals working with those students. And that's it. Busy planning for next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Burton. Mr. Fadden.
Good evening, everyone. I don't think this is even on, because I don't think anyone can hear anything on it, but, as Maria had said, there was a lot of different things that we did going on in the month of May. We had multiple honor society inductions. We had the Western Area National Technical Honor Society, we had the National Junior Honor Society, we had the NHS induction. That was a great ceremony. There were separate ceremonies at Western Area, and then we hosted our own the same day that Senior Awards were. The Senior Awards ceremony, I say it every year, it never stands to blow me away with whatever the generosity that comes from the community, with the amount of money that is given to our students. It gives them a tremendous opportunity for the next years for them to shape their education in some other advanced way. We had our prom on May 19th. That was a successful evening. Kids had a great time. And then as we transitioned it, while that was all going on, we still had AP testing going on. We had Keystone testing going on. All of those things went smoothly. And we're excited to get the information on those results along with the PSSA exams that the middle school students took. That's something Maria and I will sit down and dig into once we have that information. And then we got into senior week activities for the different students. They had a picnic out at Raccoon, and then they had a trip to Kennywood. They had a banquet out at Celebrations, and then the commencement was our final event for them. We also did a walk around. Melissa and I coordinated it so that they could go in between both buildings. They had one final lap around. And then lastly, to mention, while all that stuff was going on, we still had athletics going on. We had a number of students competing in the WPL championships and then advanced on to the PIAA championships. Our softball team advanced in the WPL playoffs. Baseball team took third place, and then they made it to the state quarterfinals last week. So we just did a number of great things. The accomplishments the students had throughout this year were amazing. A lot of great things from them. It was a great year with the staff. They did so many great things as well. They coordinated a number of things to make all of this stuff happen. It was really a team effort with the students, the staff, administration to make it a good year for us. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fadden. Mrs. Mankey.
Good evening, everyone. I'm stiff from sitting there. We did it, another school year in the books. So, yes, thank you, students and families for choosing BAEC and the Burgettstown Area School District for their education. Thank you, teachers, faculty, staff, custodians, cafeteria workers, bus drivers, and the board for all of your support this school year. We were able to do so many things to return to normal after the pandemic. Field trips returned to normal, so fundraising next year will kick back in, full fundraising to attend field trips next year. I'd like to thank the Champs Carnival, the committee members that put the carnival together, and all the teachers who teach the 7 mindsets. It felt like home having it back out there again. It was a very enjoyable day. I have to thank Mrs. Suika and Ms. Marshall who chaired it. There were so many companies that donated money to the Champs Carnival this year, so I'll be putting a thank you out on Class Dojo, as well as letters were mailed to them. So thank all the local businesses that donated finances to make that happen for our students. It was wonderful. Congratulations to our 5th grade graduates. We graduated another group, and the parade did not disappoint. There was some creativity in planning the parade, and we even had Callie who rode a horse at the end, and that's her future, and that's what she loves to do. So thank you, Mr. Pushcart, for helping that happen this school year. We did something a little bit different this year. We had a step-up day, we called it, at the very end and last day of school. We planned that our current kindergarten would go to 1st grade, 1st to 2nd, 4th to 5th, all the way up. And I kept the 5th graders in the cafeteria, and we did like a yearbook signing. But they were able to actually meet the next grade level's teachers. They introduced the programs, they introduced themselves, they introduced their classrooms. So maybe to knock out a little bit of that anxiety of what's to come in their future, so that they actually got to see the classrooms, go visit the teachers, and they got to see the other students. So it was nice that we did that on the last day, about a half hour, 45 minutes where the students participated in. So I thought that was something that will continue going forward. We even had the pre-K and the Head Start come down and meet the current kindergarten teachers and visit those classrooms. So that went very well. We are having 2 summer camps this summer. I'm glad to see that those are returning as well. We're having a Share Your Passion camp the last week of June. We will be hosting teachers who will be teaching this summer, and they're going to share their personal passion.
whether that is travel or cooking or sewing or mathematics or photography, they're going to put together a presentation and the students are gonna rotate through centers. But it's gonna be more of a hands-on camp for students. It'll be STEM related, project-based, hands-on learning, and the students will develop some type of project out of that camp that they will share with us at the end. And it's in the 4th of July, red, white, and blue theme. So we're looking forward to hosting that. And tonight, Mrs. Reed is supposed to put a dojo out to parents, and then she'll post it in other social media avenues too, so that parents in grades 2, 3, and 4 last year, that would be current 3rd, 4th, and 5th, can apply to come to our summer camp. And then later in August, there'll be another team of teachers that get together. It could be late July, it could be early August. They're still in the planning phases that we're gonna host a kindergarten camp for the incoming kindergartners. So back in April, we did our Data Force screening, and we made registration appointments with the local community and those who are enrolling their students at the elementary center. At that point, I think we only had like 54 registrants. So in the last 2 months, we've already gained up to 75 students enrolled at kindergarten. So they are coming in, they're making appointments with the secretary and filling out all their paperwork to enroll here at Burgettstown. So for those 75 students, we're gonna invite them into a camp later in the summer. And that camp would be like a little kinder boot camp so that they become familiar with what the kindergarten classrooms look like. Some ELA, mathematics activities, introducing them to the building, introducing them to cafeteria procedures, walking the hallways. So we'll do some practice with them, and hopefully we have a nice turnout for our future kindergartners. We're looking forward to hosting them this year. So thank you once again for a wonderful school year.
Thank you, Mrs. Mankey.
You're welcome.
Mrs. Graham.
It's always hard to follow the administrative reports, that's why I always say I have nothing to add to my report.
Mr. Preschko. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't have my cheat sheet.
We thought we were on the hook.
You were over there like,
I was like, just go with it, just go with it.
Who wants to go first?
I will, let me do this off my.
Okay.
As you know, tonight, I have on the agenda tonight the budget, the final budget, and it increases taxes up to the index plus the exceptions that we were approved for. I still don't know anything about the state budget. I did put a slight increase in there. That's what the word is. PASBO thinks they will give us an increase in our subsidy and special ed subsidy, so I didn't go crazy. I just put a little bit in. If we get any more, then it'll be a nice surprise. But I also have on tonight's agenda a tax anticipation note. Some of you may have seen this before. We used to do it all the time right when I started. Before me, they did it. My only concern is that we're gonna run out of money in July. I just wanna have something to settle us over in July. And once the real estate tax money starts flowing, then I can pay this, I'm gonna pay this back. So that's what that is, in case any of you have any questions on what that's for.
Anything else? Sorry.
Okay.
This is very too loud.
As you're probably aware, Burgettstown School District worked with Avella and Fort Cherry on a competitive grant, PA Smart Grant. So I've been working with the teachers. There's actually two parts. I've been working with the teachers this spring, and we're gonna be holding 2 camps at Burgettstown's Public Library. So part of the grant is we were awarded technology and programs for all of our STEM groups, whether it be in middle school, high school, or the elementary. And then in addition to that, we have to work with the public, or not have to, but we're going to work with the public library. It's actually one of our former students, Emily Eiler, so I've been meeting with her. And we're holding 2 camps. We've been advertising it in Dojo and Google Classrooms and then throughout the community. So Mrs. Canals, Mrs. Nardoni, and Mrs. Reed are gonna be holding a K-2 summer camp from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. and that's July 17th through the 20th. It's gonna be STEM and coding related. And then those same days, grades 3 through 5 will be from 11:30 to 1:30. In my board report is the flyer that we were sending out to the families. And then August 1st through the 4th, Mrs. Klein will have coding for 6th through 8th graders from 11:30 to 1:30. And Mr. Kloster will have advanced coding for 9th through 12th graders from 9 to 11. So we're excited to hold both of those camps this summer.
those are for the kids in grade that they're coming into. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Thank you.
Great. Awesome.
And
Thank-
several of them are filled already.
I was gonna say,
Oh, really?
how is the sign-up going?
That's good.
Yeah, I know middle school was filled when I spoke to her before the school year ended, so. And then
Wow.
elementary Elementary was having several already.
Yes.
The equipment that the public library got out of this was,
They received, a couple coding, I think they're called Autobots and Hummingbird kits, so they'll be able to work with those. And then laptops, which aren't in yet, we haven't ordered yet, and then some iPads.
And that's going to the Burgettstown Library, and
Yes.
not here. Oh,
What we
wow.
received it as well.
Oh,
So
cool.
what we tried to do is I worked with her, anything that we were receiving, we tried to also give to the public library.
That's awesome.
so the way the grant worked, and they encouraged partnerships. So the three districts got together, and then we all pulled in the local respective libraries. And then this gave us an opportunity to build the technology infrastructure, just a little bit of public library, and have that go on. So, the fiscal agent for all of this is Fort Cherry, as far as the money that flows through Fort Cherry. But that's how it goes. So it'll be well received.
Thank you, Mrs. Fairchild. Now, Mr. Pushkin.
Well, thank you. A couple of things. We did have an executive session prior to the meeting for personnel and legal issues, and we will be adjourning at the end for the annual Safety and Security Coordinator report. I'm going to just backtrack a little bit to correspondence. We might have missed that. I did receive an email from Kevin Kozowski today asking that I read this to the school board, so this is to you all. Dear members of the school board, I hope this letter finds you well. I'm writing to express my deepest appreciation for the opportunity to work at Burgettstown and to extend my gratitude to each member of the school community for their support, guidance, and dedication throughout my tenure. When I joined Burgettstown as a teacher 25 years ago, I was immediately struck by the warm and welcoming environment that emanated from every corner of the school. It was due to the collective efforts of the school board and the administration that such a positive and inclusive atmosphere exists, fostering growth and enabling the pursuit of excellence. During my time at Burgettstown, I've had the privilege of working alongside an exceptional team of educators, administrators, and support staff who have consistently demonstrated their passion for education and unwavering commitment to the students. The collaborative and supportive nature of our work environment has been instrumental in my professional growth and has allowed me to thrive both personally and academically. In addition, I would like to express my appreciation for the open line of communication between administration and myself, your willingness to listen, consider my perspectives, and involve me in the decision-making processes has fostered a sense of empowerment and collective ownership of the school's vision and mission. Your receptiveness to feedback and dedication to continuous improvement have made me feel valued as an employee. I am grateful for the collaborative relationship that we have cultivated. As I reflect on my time at Burgettstown, I am filled with pride, and capitalized pride, all 5 letters, and a profound sense of gratitude for the opportunity to contribute to the education and growth of our students. It has been an honor to be a part of our institution that truly prioritizes the well-being and success of its students, and I credit the school community, which also shaped me, for creating and nurturing such an environment. In closing, I want to express my deepest gratitude to each member of the school community for their tireless efforts, dedication, and support. Your leadership and commitment to excellence have not only shaped my professional journey, but have also impacted the lives of countless students and families within our community. It is with immense appreciation that I say farewell and wish you continued success in your future endeavors. Thank you once again for the incredible opportunity, the wonderful memories I will cherish them in my time at Burgettstown, true to the blue, yours sincerely, Kevin Kozowski. So Kevin is finishing up his time here this month, has most of the fall schedule filled out. I know he communicated with Cheryl already the buses that are needed for the fall, so we're getting a jump on that. But we certainly thank Kevin for all that he has done. As we conclude the school year, you know, I was telling the team, the administrative team, the other day, if somebody came to you at the beginning of the year and said, okay, the next 180 days, this is everything you're gonna face, you'd probably run the other way. But I couldn't ask for a better team to go through that journey with me. I think that our administrative team, our strengths and weaknesses and everything between, I put it up against any team, and I appreciate everything that they've done. And along those lines, our school board, you know, it's a long year for all of you. And the work that you put in this year, 2 collective bargaining agreements, you know, in the same year, and having labor peace going into next year is going to be a really good thing, looking out now 5 years, and just the intense amount of interest that you put in everything that goes on. It's no wonder graduates like Kevin, you know, can say the things that he has said, because it is a special place, but I want you to know that, people don't see all the behind the scenes, even time that it takes for all of you. I appreciate that as superintendent, because I know that you're putting that in, that we're all kind of the collective, so I want to thank you for that. It is time just about to go into the new fiscal year and see what 23-24 holds for us. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve all administrative reports as presented?
Second?
Mrs. Lemon, second Mr. Burgoyne. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Budget and Finance, Mr. Taz.
5.1, payment of bills. Number 1, motion to ratify list of bills for June 23 as presented.
That's a motion. May I have a second? Second, Mr. Shalinski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 5.1, number 2, motion to authorize administration to pay required invoices between June 12th, 2023 and August 14th, 2023 due to the length of time between meetings.
That's a motion. May I have a second? Second, Mr. Shalinski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
5.2, financial statement. Motion to accept the financial statements as presented and place on file for audit.
It's a motion. May I have a second? Second, Mr. Shalinski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
5.3, motion to approve the final budget for 2023-2024 in the amount of $23,378,679, which constitutes a 0.9403 mil increase reflecting tax increase as permitted by law. Millage will be set at 14.2793.
May I have a second? Second, Mr. Shalinski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
5.4, motion to approve the resolution that homestead and farmstead exclusion real estate tax assessment reductions are authorized for the school year beginning July 1, 2023 under the provisions of the Homestead Property Exclusion Program Act and Taxpayer Relief Act. Those who qualify will receive a tax break in the amount of $272.34.
May I have a second? Second, Mr. Shalinski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
5.5, motion to approve the tax and revenue anticipation note resolution relative to the proposal received from Washington Financial Bank for a note in the amount of $1 million at interest rate of 5.7% to mature on June 28, 2023.
May I have a second? Second, Mr. Shalinski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
5.6, inventory control. Motion to retroactively accept the donation of football uniform apparel from the University of Pitt as accepted by the previous varsity football coach and authorize the disposal of those items which would be reusable with any proceeds were allocated to the football student activities account.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mrs. Lemon. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
2, motion to authorize disposal of any unusable outdated football uniform apparel previously purchased by the school district with any proceeds from their disposal to be allocated to the football student activities account.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shalinski. Any questions?
Yeah, any way to see any of the items before we dispose of them?
Sure.
Just in something like a jersey, it might not be like the better of a local restaurant or something, something like that.
Melissa might want it for her
Because
living
I
room.
think you may have some students,
Well,
students may want some.
I think I know what he wants to do is take them to the state, try and sell them for a nominal amount.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said.
Like an
this is
auction.
Before you dump them, like, literally.
Right.
Oh, yeah, we're not gonna, yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Okay.
What number, Melissa?
28.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 3, motion to permit the disposal of 8 Genome Schoolmate sewing machines, is that right? Say that word? That are no longer in working condition.
May I have a second?
Second.
What, did you second it? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 4, motion to permit the recycling of electronic waste to Upcycle LLC as attached at no cost to the district.
It's a motion, may I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shalinski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 5, motion to permit the donation, sale, and/or disposal of the listed outdoor items.
You're not gonna read them all? May I have a second? Second, Mrs. Lemon. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Section 6, Education. Mrs. Lemon.
Thank you. Good evening. I would like to start with 6.1, Health and Safety Report. There is nothing to report. 6.2, the enrollment report is available online. 6.3, Health and Safety and Continuity of Education. A long one. I'd like to make a motion, please, to accept the review and revision of the Burgettstown Area School District Health and Safety Plan. The board directs the superintendent to post this version 5.0 of the plan on the district website and submit to the Pennsylvania Department of Education. Also, along with that motion, to alter the academic schedule for the Burgettstown Elementary and Burgettstown Middle High School according to the presented information, whereas the World Health Organization has declared the current outbreak of COVID-19 a global pandemic, and whereas the Pennsylvania Department of Education has determined that COVID-19 pandemic constitutes an emergency within the meaning of Section 520.1 of the Pennsylvania Public School Code of 1949 as amended, and whereas the Board of School Directors of Burgettstown Area School District has determined that the risks COVID-19 presents to our students, faculty, and community require an extraordinary response. Now therefore, the board affirms and declares that the COVID-19 pandemic is an emergency within the meaning of Section 520.1 of the Pennsylvania Public School Code of 1949 as amended for the duration of said pandemic, but in no event for any period exceeding 4 years, the superintendent shall have the duty and the authority to develop and revise as necessary a health and safety plan in a form and manner prescribed by the Pennsylvania Department of Education that ensures a minimum of 180 days of instruction, allowing for a minimum of 900 hours of instruction at the elementary level and 990 hours of instruction at the secondary level, employing any combination of in-person, virtual, and distance learning as the superintendent deems appropriate to address the health and safety of students, faculty, and community, and the learning needs of students. Such instruction shall comply in full with the requirement of Chapter 4 of the regulations of the State Board of Education and with the curriculum standards published in accordance therewith. The superintendent shall have the duty and authority to revise the instructional schedule as necessary. That's a motion.
May I have a second? Second, Mr. Shalinski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
6.4, professional development. I'd like to make a motion, please, to approve the list of professional development as presented with costs to be paid by Title II, Liz Ellick to attend KTI STARS Summit at Shippensburg University in Shippensburg, PA on July 24th through the 28th, 2023. Total approximate cost $405.45.
That's a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shalinski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
6.5, agreements. I'd like to make a motion, please, to approve the applicant participation certification for the Education, Learning to Employment, and Career Training Elect Teen Outreach Program and the Intermediate Unit 1 Consortium.
That's a motion. May I have a second? Second, Mr. Shalinski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I would like to make a motion, please, to approve the letter of agreement for the outside-in program with outside-in school experience, experiential education.
It's a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Metallic. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And number 3, a motion to approve, please, the agreement for recovery-oriented services with AMI Incorporated of Washington and Green Counties.
It's a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shalinski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Personnel. Go ahead, Mrs. Lemon.
7.1 is
the employment disclaimer, which is as per usual. 7.2, resignations. I'd like to make a motion, please, to accept with regret the resignations as listed of the following personnel. Sherry Cazares, varsity girls volleyball head coach, effective May 17th, 2023. Heather Dangle, student council co-advisor, effective June 5th, 2023. Deanna Senekal, doublet coach, effective June 5th, 2023. Ben Froats, junior high boys basketball coach and varsity track and field assistant coach, effective June 7th, 2023. And Judy Evans, assistant bookkeeper, retirement resignation, effective December 15th, 2023.
That's a motion. May I have a second? Second, Mr. Shalinski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 7.3, employment. I would like to make a motion, please, to approve the listed employment as presented. Lauren Markish as a teacher, step 2, master's degree, pending receipt of all paperwork.
It's a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shalinski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Under 7.4, additional compensation. I would like to, number 1, make a motion to ratify the additional period assignment for the 22-23 school year. Stacy Boyd, 7th period, beginning April 27th, 2023.
It's a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shalinski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 2, make a motion, please, to approve the listed additional compensation items. The ESY Extended School Year Program for Rebecca Shaming, that is June 19th through July 20th, 23, with no ESY on July 3rd, 2023. Letter B, Title I Summer Math and Reading Enrichment Program, grades 2 through 4, 22-23 school year for Michelle Reed, Kathy Cows, Allison McBurney, Heather Schaefer, Brianna Stig, and Rhonda Spitic. Letter C, Title I Summer Pre-Kindergarten Camp, grade kindergarten for the 23-24 school year, Michelle Reed, Tabitha Baker, Sherry Cazares, Nicole Patterson, Heather Schaefer, and Rhonda Spitic. And letter D, Alan Cugini as band director, and letter E, Jacqueline Elich as junior high cheerleading advisor.
It's a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shalinski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
7.5, leaves of absence. Number 1, I'd like to make a motion, please, to rescind the listed leaves of absence as presented. Shelby John for the following unpaid day, May 2nd, which is a half day, 2023. Jim Myers, bus driver, May 15th, May 16th, May 17th, May 18th, and May 19th, 2023.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shalinski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion, please, to ratify the listed leaves of absence as presented. Chantel Martin, general cafeteria worker, for May 3rd and June 5th, 2023. Shauna Johnston, cafeteria, May 11th and June 5th, 2023. Deborah Viadeski, paraprofessional, May 18th, a half day, 2023. Jessica Roman Yates, paraprofessional, a full day, May 26th, and a half day, May 30th, 2023. And Ken McKinney, bus driver, on May 26th, 2023.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shalinski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
7.6, substitutes. May I make a motion, please, to ratify the substitute list for the 22-23 school year as presented. Teacher Mark Parmigiani as of May 8th, 2023.
It's a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shalinski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
7.7, grievances. At this time, the board will not act on this evening as the association has requested a meeting with the grievance committee. At 7.8, resignation. The board would like to please make a motion to accept the resignation of Francis Kosek, effective immediately, and to direct the superintendent to expeditiously post and, if necessary, advertise the position.
It's a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shalinski. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Section 8, athletics and related activities, Mr. Metallic.
I'd just like to congratulate all our individual athletes and the athletic teams as multiple individual have 4 teams qualified for the Woodville playoffs, or 6 teams qualified for Woodville playoffs, with 4 of them staying in the game.
Awesome. Thank you. I have a question. I guess this would pertain to student activities. The choral attire, the choral uniforms, for lack of a better word, that were purchased right before COVID, I think, they have not been worn. Now, I understand that they were not worn because they need to be hemmed and tailored and whatnot. Can we, if we have to make a policy or put it in the student handbook or whatever we need to do, the district paid for those uniforms. We expect the drum line to wear theirs, we expect cheerleaders to wear theirs, the football team. When the chorus is performing, we need to have an expectation that they will be wearing their choral attire that was purchased. How do we make that happen?
Conversation with Ms. Ellen.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Mr. Fadden. All right, anybody else? Nope. Okay. Transportation, Mr. Shalinski.
9.1 transportation reports can be found online.
All right, thank you. Buildings and grounds, Mr. Taz.
10.1, building grounds report is listed online. 10.2, facilities contract, motion to accept proposed restated agreement between Burgettstown Area School District and Airmark effective July 1, 23 through June 30th, 28, pending review by the solicitor.
That's a motion. May I have a second? Second, Mrs. Lemon. Any questions? Thank you, Mrs. Graham. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
10.3, motion to approve the lease of 2 classrooms for blueprints for the 23-24 school year in the amount of $24,000 for pre-K and Head Start program according to the presented lease agreements.
May I have a second? Second, Mrs. Lemon. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
10.4, motion to continue services with Community Services and Furlough in the Service Agency with Washington County Community Services regarding.
That's a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mrs. Lemon. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. For the Buildings and Grounds report, it said that we removed the wooden sign that was donated by 1978 Student Council. It's being stored in the basement. Is there any possible way that that could be displayed in that hallway between the high school cafeteria and gym where we have all of the other? That was,
Yeah, we're gonna find a place
okay,
to put it.
okay.
Yeah, it's not down, you know, wasn't
It said in the report it was down.
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't think he has it down, but it's
Okay.
going to be replaced by the new
by the
metal
new
sign,
nice
but
sign,
we
yeah.
definitely wanna find something
Okay,
with that one. What I was trying to do was get in touch with whoever the officers were of student council back then, talk to them and see what they would like to maybe coming up with some cooperative. Yeah,
what? Miss Lazowski, yeah, so it was there for 45 years. Miss
Right.
Lazowski's like an institution here,
Yeah.
so
Right.
it needs to be displayed, yeah. Well, not just shoved in the
no,
basement, right?
because
Yeah.
things that go to the basement never find their way back
Right,
out.
right. All right. Western Area Career and Technology Center, Mr. Burgoyne.
Nothing to report.
All right, thank you. And food service, Mr. Burgoyne.
12.1, food service report is online. 12.2, food service management company contract. Motion to accept the food service management cost reimbursable contract between the Burgettstown Area School District and Airmark Student Nutrition beginning July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2024, pending approval by PDE.
All right, that's a motion. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Second, Mr. Metallic. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You're opposed? Mr. Taz is opposed. All right. Anyone else? Motion carries. Student discipline, Mr. Burgoyne.
Nothing to approve, and nothing to report.
No, you gotta do a motion. You know, just, it's there. All right, section 14, policy, Mr. Shalinski.
14.1 second reading, policy 915, boosters, support groups, 14.2, first and final reading, a motion to approve the listed policy as presented. A, policy 249, cyberbullying revised.
It's a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Burgoyne. Any questions?
Question, so with the bullying one, if anything happens outside of school, are you not able to do anything as a school district?
You know, so the
How
policy,
does that work?
If anything happens outside school and it gets carried into school, it has an impact in school, kids are talking about it disrupts school,
Okay.
then you can. If it's just on vacation, nobody ever hears about it, but we hear about it later, even if it's one of our students bullying another, that's the way it works.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Section 15, old business, new business. Nothing? All right, section 16, legislative, Mr. Metallic.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution in support of House Bill 132 to revise the current payment structure for cyber charter school students.
It's a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Burgoyne. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number two, motion to adopt the resolution in support of school meals for all. Senate Bill 180 and House Bill 180 so that all kids throughout the state of PA can receive the food they need to be successful in school, and further work to remove the stigma that has always existed in the school meals program.
It's a motion. May I have a second? Second, Mr. Shalinski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
It's Mr. Burgoyne, a second by Mr. Shalinski. Oh, and we're going to executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you all. Yes, oh my God.
That's why